another article I posted on my page is a very interesting piece. A very interesting piece coming from Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is I believe the guy who runs Zero Hedge, I believe, is a libertarian. I want to say he's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. He puts out a lot of kind of Alex Jonesy kind of stuff. I could be wrong, but that's what I hear. I haven't. I'll admit I don't go on the page all that much, but that's besides the point. He posts a lot of stuff that calls out the establishment, which I love. In this particular article, the title of the article is "Explosive" in quotes. Leaked secret Israeli cable confirms Israeli Saudi coordination to provoke war. You know, when you follow a lot of the rhetoric that's put out there by Benjamin Netanyahu, by the Saudi princes and kings, and all those different people that run that place. They are all anti-Iran to the fucking core. They hate Iran with a passion, and it's just unbelievable. Like, the possibility of America attacking Iran under Trump is really a scary possibility. Now, to be fair, Hillary Clinton put out statements back in 2008 when she was running against Barack Obama in the Democratic primary, where she was saying that we should obliterate Iran because because she thought they were really dangerous, and she was afraid about how they have nukes and all this other stuff, and we should be really, really scared of them and all that, the usual stuff that's put out by neocons, essentially, I guess you could say. And Hillary Clinton, in my opinion, is just as much of a neocon as any other neocon out there, and she just happens to have a D in front of her name, so that's the only difference. But as far as this article goes, let me just read a little bit of an excerpt here. It says, earlier this morning, Israeli Channel 10 News published a leaked diplomatic cable which had been sent to all Israeli ambassadors throughout the world concerning the chaotic events that unfolded over the weekend in Lebanon and Saudi Arabia, which began with Lebanese Prime Minister Saad Hariri's unexpected resignation after he was summoned to Riyadh by his Saudi backers, and led to the Saudis announcing that Lebanon had declared war against the kingdom. So obviously, many of you know that Lebanon is an ally of Iran, so they're going to definitely back a lot of what Iran does and a lot of what Iran says. And the rest of the piece here says, the explosive classified Israeli cable reveals the following. On Sunday, just after Lebanese Prime Minister Hariri's shocking resignation, Israel sent a cable to all of its embassies with the request that its diplomats do everything possible to ramp up diplomatic pressure against Hezbollah and Iran. The cable urged support for Saudi Arabia's war against Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen. The cable stressed that Iran was engaged in regional subversion. Israeli diplomats were urged to appeal to the highest officials within their host countries to attempt to expel Hezbollah from Lebanese government and politics. That is ridiculously scary. If you're going in there and you're going there and trying to create a situation where certain members of a government, of a parliament, are getting kicked out, you're going to piss off a lot of people. So Hezbollah is going to be really pissed off that you're trying to get them out of government. So they're not even going to have a representative form of government when, and then that only creates an easier scenario for Lebanon or any country really to, in that, at least any countries similar to Lebanon and Iran, and countries like that, to be attacked, to be invaded, to be infiltrated by some sort of fighters, whether it's ISIS, whether it's whoever, whatever Saudi, so whatever kind of terrorist Saudi wants to put out there. Saudi claims they're not the terrorists. America says Saudi is on our side, but they're the actual terrorists. America is the actual terrorists. They're the ones that are committing all these. They're the ones who are committing all these problems. And there was another part here. There's another couple of interesting lines here. It says, It says the Israeli supporter who obtained the document is Barak Ravid, senior diplomatic correspondent for Channel 10 News. Ravid announced the following through Twitter yesterday. I published on Channel 10 a cable sent to Israeli diplomats asking to lobby for Saudis/Harir and against Hezbollah. The cable sent from MFA in Jerusalem, which stands for the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to all Israeli embassies toes the Saudi line regarding the Hariri resignation. The Israeli diplomats were instructed to demarch their host governments over the domestic political situation in Lebanon, a very rare move. The cable said you need to stress that the Hariri resignation shows how dangerous Iran and Hezbollah are for Lebanon's security. How would that affect Lebanon's security? So okay, hold on, pause here. So if using that logic, so what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to get rid of Hezbollah? If Lebanon's security has been so bad, hold on. If Lebanon's security is so bad, with Hezbollah in parliament, is it going to be better if Hezbollah is not there? Lebanon is a Shia government. Hezbollah is a Shia group. They are backed by Iran. These are groups that need to be existing. If they don't exist, then any country can go in there, like ISIS. ISIS not being a country, but any kind of terrorist can go in there, invade that country, and start some shit. Just like what happened to Iraq with when America went in there and just started to just did a whole full ground scale invasion of the country and just decided to fight different sides, Sunnis, Shias, causing all these problems. So if you're going to go in there, if you're going to go into Lebanon and claim that Hezbollah is a risk to Lebanon's security, then that's going to get rid of Lebanon, and then they're going to have no backing from Iran as well, and then what's going to happen? And then obviously ISIS is going to be able to get in there. ISIS is a Saudi funded organization, terrorist group, and they're going to be able to go into Lebanon and do whatever the fuck they want. Yeah, that's exactly what you need. Lebanon's security is going to be so much better if ISIS is in there. So the next line says, Hariri's resignation proves wrong the argument that Hezbollah participation in the government stabilizes Lebanon. Again, I'm going to repeat my point. That's not true at all. The whole point of Hezbollah in there is representing Lebanon. Hezbollah you can characterize Hezbollah as a terrorist group, but ISIS is a terrorist group, and they're funded by Saudi. But we're on Saudi's side. So aren't we funding the terrorists then? So if you want to use that logic, then the logic all lines up to making the exact argument being made against Lebanon and against Iran and against Hezbollah. We can use anybody can use to say that that argument against ISIS and Saudi Arabia, who's allied with America. So the final line says the cable instructed Israeli diplomats to support Saudi Arabia over its war with the Houthis in Yemen. The cable also stressed, quote, the missile launched by the Houthis towards Riyadh calls for applying more pressure on Iran and Hezbollah. So this whole thing is just, it's leading to a ridiculous quagmire, and of course America is always involved in the ridiculous quagmires. But in this case, you have an even bigger problem. You have this unholy alliance between Saudi and Israel. Two groups that would seemingly be against each other. I mean, I've heard Benjamin Netanyahu come out there and say how dangerous ISIS is and how dangerous Muslims are. He's always complaining about and whining about and fearmongering about Muslims. He fearmongers about Iran, being this dangerous group, when they're not even remotely dangerous close to, compared to ISIS. ISIS is the dangerous one, but and he has went after ISIS, but now he wants to align himself with Saudi Arabia to take out Iran and Hezbollah and all their allies. So I mean, it's the kind of logic that goes into this mentality of these neoconservatives like Netanyahu is ridiculous, and he's definitely got the backing of Iran and all the neoconservative politicians in America, including a lot of them that aren't even don't even declare themselves as neoconservatives. They're just pro-Israel and they're they're anti-Iran, and they hate that Iran is the only country that basically doesn't have military bases all over its country, because it doesn't give in to the